We used to let our chickens roam free here at Cowboy Permaculture. Sounds idyllic, right? They get to go wherever they please, eat whatever they want. Yay! But in reality, they scratched up everything, pooped everywhere, and still cost a lot to feed. On top of that, we were constantly losing eggs and even sometimes chickens to predators. So, how can we enjoy the benefits of free-range eggs without the problems that come with free-range chickens? Our first solution was a simple movable chicken tractor. Just some stakes in the ground and chicken mesh or wire, super low cost and easy to relocate depending on where we needed them. We also kept our ducks and turkeys in these spaces, sometimes under fruit trees, sometimes in an area before planting. All around the property, we were moving our birds every 2 months. The benefits? An improved fertility, yay! And reduced weeds before planting. But the downsides, it was time consuming to move and only worked well if set up properly. We also had to clip the chickens and turkeys' wings regularly to stop escapes.
That's it. Come around. Don't spear anyone. Get it. Ah!
So we just moved the turkey tractor from here to here so they can fertilize this part. And we had to catch them, bare hands. It was very difficult. They run very, very fast.
Hungry dogs still managed to break in and eat their eggs, which is why our puppy now looks like a small horse. Yeah, let's go get Mason. So now, this is our current system, a fixed rotational setup.
Come with me. So this is what we started with, very compacted soil. It's about a third. It has some rain over the summer season and then 9 months of nothing. So we've got very compacted soil here. Only the toughest grasses grow. And for us to try and keep this green or with production, we really have to use a lot of the water that we have as a very limited resource from a shallow well. So what we have put in here is asparagus, just to have the roots get established, but like with so much competing grasses and not enough water and poor fertility, they're really not in a position to yield. So I'll show you how we're going to solve that. This is a compaction meter, and I have the narrow tip on for compacted soil. So let's see how deep we get before we hit a point where the roots won't go through, which is like 200 psi. So there we go, 200 psi, 5 centimeters, and that's 2 days after a solid rain. So, whew, let's go have a look in the chicken tractor. So this is bay 6 actually, and we have had the chickens in here before where they had it almost clear, but we've consolidated them into the bay 5 right now. You can see, let's have a look at the compaction. So 20 centimeters before we hit the 200 psi, so it's a lot more decompacted, really good for, like, suitable for shallow rooted vegetables, most vegetables. In each of these bays we actually have done a Berkeley compost system. We're about to put the chickens in here now. They'll end up picking through this and spreading this fertility right through this bay. One of the keys to having an efficient garden is to be able to control the border quite well. So we have these tough grasses which want to give seed, and because we're watering with sprinklers, they're wanting to enter the garden. So this is becoming a maintenance issue. So we can take advantage of that problem, which is that the grasses are growing really well because of the excess water that's coming out. And this is what we're doing. Planted comfrey along it. We took out the grass and planted comfrey root here 10 days ago. And you see it's already taking. Or was this just 1 day ago, Thomas? Un día, no? 2 días. Yeah. So here was just 2 days ago. We're going to ask Thomas to show us how to do it. We have an expert gardener here from France. So you can see this one's well established now. It's been here like 3 months, and We've harvested from it probably 6 times already, so harvesting it's been really effective at stopping the grass from going in. It'll dominate. It's easy for us to pull the straggler grasses away. Okay, in this bay we have the chickens presently.
So half of it has been instant garden. There's only 3 turkeys in here now. A male one's actually sitting on the eggs.
One of the other advantages of having the cement border is that the wire doesn't oxidize, so we put stainless steel wire to tie it into the wet cement, and it's tying down the mesh. And B, the chickens are cleaning all the way along the edge. They're doing the hard work of the weeding. Now if we have a look at the compaction of this bay, it's had the chickens in here about 2 months. Okay, 40 centimeters, less than 200 psi, so amazing compared to out there. If you follow me, you can see that the chickens have worked from where we're feeding them back to, they've got like 20% of the work left, of the grasses left. I think we're going to give them a little bit of a hurry up and loosen this grass, let them kill off the roots, and then move them over, because we've got a whole bunch of plants that a whole bunch of seeds that we'd like to get in the ground and plants to transplant, and we may as well turn this into production.
Con chocolate.
Mucho rico.
Oh, chocolate. We're actually going to change plan. We were loosening it all, but there's so few grass weeds now. We're just going to spot where the grasses are, wait until that dries out, turn that part over one more time, and then come through and mark the gardens with a quick broad fork. Plantar con momentum. Esto. Yoga del jardín. One of the first things I'll do is I'll actually mark the paths so we can stop compacting the ground, and this tobacco actually came from the garden here. It's pretty invasive, but it's a great little mulch. I'm sure you could do a few other things with it too, but let's use it as a path marker mulch right now. The neighbor Fernando Llegado para came to lend an observation or two, and some coca.
The other way we could deal with this remaining grass is do a lasagna instant garden technique, which we have another video on in our channel. If you put some compost down, some cardboard, some mulch on top, you wouldn't even have to turn that small amount of grass. But I'm telling you, like, to try and break in this ground that's out there and get that persistent tough grass clear enough to be able to direct seed, you're talking a lot of time, a lot of effort just for this one bay. The perennials like asparagus, it's been perfectly weeded around. They're coming back super strong. In fact, that one would be good with an egg over
After
lunch.
a good rinse.
Yeah. So for this size, which is like 4 meters by 12, I'd say the best amount of chickens would be about 20 chickens to clear it in about 6 weeks. So right now we have 12 chickens in here. It takes a little bit longer as a result. It also is easier for the chickens if you water this periodically too, to help them to scratch it, but they will clear it even if it's bone dry. All of this is under a 50% shade cloth, and this one's lasted 7 years actually, so it's been a really good investment. The other way you could do it if you didn't have the money for this would be to alley crop, so get some plant rows of trees and crop in between. Alright, let's go into bay 4. So this is the last one that the chickens were in. So this is how it started, like just grass like this. I'm actually going to put 2 rabbits in here. They can start eating the grass, and then open the door at the back and close that one so the chickens can start, will start preparing that garden. What we want to move to is like a mix of perennials and annual crop. So it's been a bit of a challenge, a learning experience, trying to size frequency of planting and our consumption for things like leafy greens, so that we don't overproduce. But it takes some of that pressure off to interplant perennials that we'll just keep getting that we like to eat, that we'll keep getting a benefit from. So we have a lot of fennel in here. The asparagus just keeps on popping up and coming back. Yeah. We have a lot of older varieties of vegetables that we brought in, and we're acclimatizing those to this climate. And so one of our objectives this year is to save seeds and to get those out into the community and into Bolivia. So we have 3 different kinds of mustard greens, for instance, which are a fantastic cover crop. They're quite tasty in salads too, but we can't eat all of this. So it's more, we want to be able to have a good bunch of seeds so that we can do good cover crops with this when it matures in 17 days, and have that be like a green manure. Yeah, so we have a lot of collards, we have beets, like using companion planting strategies, things that like to play together in the same sandbox. We have cucumbers, a whole lot of butternut squash, and some yellow courgette along there, and peppers and tomatoes. So, and the beauty of this system too is like we've made it so the chickens can't go under and can't fly over. You'll see that the mesh goes pretty much all the way up to the shade cloth, but that also gives us the ability to cultivate things that like to vine, you know. Yeah, we've experimented putting rabbits in here in a bay before the chickens, or even at the same time as the chickens, and they're happy coexisting together. It's just the dogs don't play too well, so we had to strengthen the outside. I've even put barbed wire around the outside, and any point of failure, if the dogs can see the rabbits, they'll get in. So perhaps in the future, I think what we're going to do with that is when we have rabbits in it, block the view up to 1 meter. I have noticed that the rabbits gain like half a kilo in like about a week if you let them run in here. So a good strategy if you're going to sell them for meat, or if you're going to eat them yourself or feed your dogs. So we actually did like a tunnel system that interconnects each of these sections. Is an easy way to have the chickens go from one section to the next. We just open and close an access way. The other idea with leaving it open was that they'll be going right along the whole back edge and controlling the grass. And they certainly help, but it's still, this grass is still coming in, so that's why we're switching to the Comfrey system. Welcome to bay number 3.
This is a new door as of yesterday that was done by Benson from Australia.
And we just welded it with extra bits of rebar. I actually like it better than the wooden doors. The chickens have been in here just 2 days. The grass was this high, and you can see it's starting to get leveled down. They're back and forth to their permanent run. So they're already starting to tractor. It's like 4 or 5 days. There she goes. Tractor girl, tractor.
So we have a whole bunch of different chards, Swiss chards, and broad beans, and tomatoes, carrots, medicinals like borage, also flowers, calendula, which is really super productive, basil, beets, bok choy, garlic. I mean, a whole bunch of things. So you can see just within this one bay, it's actually enough for a family of 2 to get all of your leafy greens and a lot of your veg. And we have 6 of these, and right now 4 are in production. It's just hard to eat it all, which is nice. It's a nice problem to have.
It's really nice to dehydrate a lot of this stuff. We just do it out in the sun on top of the solar oven and stock up our spice cabinet.
One of the keys in here is that we have about 1,000 meters square of alfalfa growing, and that's a complete food for the rabbits. So we have a rabbit palace system which collects urine, and every 2 days we have a big pile of mulch, the uneaten alfalfa and the rabbit poo, that we can choose where that fertility goes. So we use that to mulch heavily in the paths, to mulch lightly in the beds, and it's a slow release fertility, right? The rabbit poo is one of the best. I think it's second behind elephant poo, and we don't unfortunately have any elephants here. Maybe that's a good thing. If we hit in here, and we should probably do it with a pick, you'll see earthworms right through this earth. Where when I started on this land, I couldn't find one in 8,000 square meters, 2 acres. It also obviously helps to economize water use, having that mulch on the ground. To weed one of these sections is about like 20 minutes once a week, and a little bit often is the key with these gardens. What are we going to have for lunch? Harvest some of this bok choy, eh? What I've noticed is that this is the second crop we've had on here since the rabbits have been in here, and it's been quite easy to keep the weeds under control. And in fact, the heads, the thickness of the bok choy are really remarkably getting better. So I can tell that the soil's getting a lot better. I call this a rotational chicken tractor system, but like in reality, it's a continuous production system. Once they've gone in and done the original work, if we stay on top of the weeding, and add some extra fertility, this can always be in production. If the chickens are just over there, we can just biff any excess leaves over there, and that helps reduce feed cost. We don't need any more bok choy seeds, so I could just throw it down in the pathway, and that becomes mulch. All right, lunch is choosing itself today. Let's test the compaction of Bay 3 that's been in production for over 6 months. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 75 centimeters before it reached 200 psi.
There is a life. Go into Bay 2.
Yeah, well, thanks to the chickens, they've done the hard work and killed the kaikuyu, the hard grass. There's still some roots in here, so we're going to come through, rake off the mulch, because we're throwing alfalfa for them also. Use the broad fork, get the persistent weeds out, plan the gardens, direct seed or transplant.
Hello, with the German help.
Alright, we're going to time lapse these girls in action.
It doesn't make it easy. The other piece of my heart moves slow, somewhere in the great unknown. When I return from the afterglow, will you carry me like I am whole again? Wait, hold on, put me together, take me back where I belong. I want it all. I had a feeling, but the feeling is all gone.
These are some excess comfrey leaves from the other day, so we could use those as mulch. A bunch of different kinds of peppers from different places. 6 or 7 different kinds of tomatoes that we're trialing out for this climate. Interplanted with a whole bunch of large leaf Italian basil. Welcome to where it all began. They watch.
Trained to be tame. Nature gave a new name. Source to nurture the world. Ready, sing a new tune. Weight of it all won't get me down. All that a sound set free. Wind in my hair, sweet essence of me.
We actually made a chicken house here, and the beauty of having that is obviously the chickens are a little bit more comfortable, but it was easy to harvest the eggs, to collect the eggs every day. And they were permanently in this bay, which is a little bit smaller. It's like 4 by 8 meters. And the idea, drawing off what Jeff Lawton does actually, is that you just keep feeding them organic waste and whatever else, organic matter, and they'll do the turning, make compost in place. And if you do that, enough of that, like Richard Perkins takes that to an extreme in his greenhouse over winter, it will generate a lot of compost for you to use in your gardens. But it was just too hard to like leave the chickens in here with perfectly prepared ground that we could direct seed on, you know, when you compare to like what we started with. So we moved them over, and that's where the rotational chicken tractor system hatched. This is the west side. You typically want to be mindful of the afternoon sun. It's the harshest. So because we have the support here, I've put cherry tomatoes along this side, and they'll come up and provide a bit of something productive and some shade against that hard afternoon sun. Yeah, we're using a mix of two watering methods in this system. One is drip irrigation with integrated drip lines, and the other is with sprinklers. We're trialing out pulse watering, so you can have the timer turn the pump on like 4 or 5 times a day for just 4 or 5 minutes through the drip lines. There's a 70% saving in water that way. It provides like a sheet across the garden, and that works pretty well. It's also very easy to set and forget. You know, there's no overwatering, so when we travel and stuff like that, that's the easiest way to do it. But we also have, in the beds that are full production with leafy greens and stuff like that, we prefer to use sprinklers. We've colonized pink oyster mushroom, and we're going to put that in here. We're also bringing in wine caps, which will definitely work really easily, so give us some mushrooms in our diet. Yeah, so look for that in future videos, and we'll let you know how that goes. So basil actually got quite expensive in winter. It's quite an easy thing for us to add value to and make a pesto. In fact, you need to come through and harvest it fairly regularly so that it doesn't start putting energy into the flowers. And I'm sure you all know, but what you want to do to extend the life of basil, you want to harvest it frequently and just leave a leaf in V like that.
Above the shoulders.
Above the shoulders. Think about which friends we want to gift pesto for Christmas. There's a couple of you on the list. So this is Comfrey tea that's been brewing for 7 days. Ooh, look at that. And you can tell from its smell that it's good stuff. So the idea with this is just integrate as many functions in a really efficient manner. So we have the greenhouse integrated with the compost teas, with the soil production, with the worms, with the chickens, with the veggies. This system also draws off the one straw revolution, Satoshi's work, natural farming, you know, so we're letting what grows, keeping the ground covered with a strong mulch, but we're also hybriding that with a bit of Ruth Stout, which is like for the first year being really militant against any weeds. So when we see it, we're taking it out, and that's going to make the second year a lot easier. The no-till guys do that too, so we're not strictly following Satoshi's letting everything grow, but we're certainly letting a good mix of things and keeping the soil covered.
All right, the baby is calling for us. It feels good to be back publishing videos. Hopefully it'll be more consistent. We'll have a few rolling out soon. We have a bunch in mind. Thank you guys for watching and being here at Kawaii Permaculture Bolivia. And let us know if you have any questions in the comments. Hi.
Yeah? No? I'm really off, eh?
Be yourself.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. So, this is what, do you want me to get down so you can actually see it, or you can see it?
Very good.
Better?
That was great.
Welcome back to Kawaii Permaculture. It's been a while. I guess this guy's part responsible for that system, which got expanded. I think we might need to give him off there. This production, chicken tractor, syn gasoline. Any questions?